This program is brought to you by FR365TV. Welcome to The Dream Teamsters. Little Brother by Dr. Khalid White. Illustrated by Tyrus Gaucher.
All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Akeem Staples, better known as Mr. A in the literacy streets. And we have our episode with the Dream Teamsters, and with us all the way from the West Coast, joining us in this conversation is Dr. Khalid White. How are you doing today, Dr. White?
Doing excellent. Thank you, Akeem and Fathers Read, for having me. And I'm glad to be here with you all this morning.
You are a part of our author series where we're interviewing authors on their books. We are thankful for you to be a participant on this episode, the series that we have with your book, Little Brother.
One sunny Saturday morning, Jelani, Kenya, and their little brother Kyrie were watching cartoons. They could hear their parents talking and laughing in the kitchen while they made breakfast for the kids to eat. You see, while in the kitchen, their parents were not only making breakfast, they were also making a way for Jelani and Kenya to learn a valuable lesson.
Hey kids, come in here please. Breakfast is ready.
What made you decide to write children's book?
For one, I'm an educator, I'm a career educator for, the last 15 years or more. And the unfortunate circumstances that you hear so often are that Black youth, Black boys in particular, are having struggles with their reading and, literacy. And they're also being tracked into the school to prison pipeline based on their literacy or based on their lack of proficiency in literacy, right? So, you hear all that negativity, and I wanted to be part of the solution to that. I can't fix an entire system, but I can change things in the ways that I can. I also read some negative statistics about how children's books don't have the representation that is needed, particularly for Black youth or Latinx youth, right? And so we know that representation matters. So I wanted to include and incorporate some characters that Black kids and Latino kids or Afro-Latino kids or what have you could identify with and see themselves reflected in, right? Third reason, just seeing the kids around my house playing and seeing the kids around my house, following each other's leads and things of that sort, like my children, and then also seeing my nieces and nephews play. And it's reminding me of, myself. I have a little brother, right? So, this all kind of just was like based on a true story, if you will. So my oldest is 15 right now. Okay. And my youngest is 2 right now. So there's a big gap between those two. But my niece and nephew kind of also were, in the household a lot, particularly my oldest niece. And so she was almost like a little sister to my oldest daughter. You see what I'm saying? So again, that's kind of the mix of nieces and nephews and kids is where the inspiration for this kind of came from.
We know you have Little Brother. Are there any other books in your catalog?
There are 4 children's books that I've written. Little Brother, Little Sister, which kind of has the sister being the protagonist, right? Okay. And then I've written 2 bilingual books, English on one side, Spanish on the other side. Hermanito, which is little brother in Spanish, and Hermanita, which is little sister in Spanish. So that's the 4th book series that I currently have. Each has kind of taken on a life of its own, right? In terms of where they've landed and the impact that they've, had. And so, yeah, I'm very, very pleased, very happy, that I had a chance to write these books and found illustrators who were, wanted to work with me, and then find organizations and schools that love the book and want to support the book, including Fathers Read 365.
Right. Well, I always say timing is always perfect. In Little Brother, there was even more of a connection with me, and it came around the athletic side, or the sport that you chose to show or display in your book, and it was baseball.
Little brother, let's all play with the ball.
Uh-oh. Little brother, we won't let you fall.
It's more common in our communities, our Black and brown communities, that kids will pick up a basketball or a football. And baseball was one of the first sports I was involved in, and it's also a sport that my sons have played, and my youngest one is still playing. So why did you choose baseball?
I don't know if that was an intentional choice, to be honest with you. The illustrator kind of used that and I ran with it, but I'm glad that you mentioned baseball because that was my first love too. And I played baseball up until about 17, 18 years old myself. And so did my younger brother. I mean, baseball as a child in the 80s and 90s, and I'm sure even before that, baseball was the sport. It wasn't basketball. That came later in the 90s with Allen Iverson and that type of thing. Yep. And then football, obviously has been for a while, but all kids played baseball, or at least all the boys I knew played Little League baseball, and then, high school baseball and things of that sort. I think that personally, baseball lost its cultural impact because basketball and football became more associated with hip hop culture for us, and more associated with celebrity.
What role can an older brother or sister play on early childhood engagement?
Great question. What role can an older sibling, older brother, older sister play on early literacy and childhood reading? I think that an older sibling can play a very pivotal role because an older sibling, in a lot of cases, can be the eyes and ears and the mouthpiece of the parent sometimes. The older sibling, and then talking again from experience, the older sibling can be the one who influences the younger sibling in some very, very, very direct ways. So if the older sibling is picking up books, if the older sibling is reading to the younger sibling, those types of activities become normalized in the household and normalized in the home. The older sibling, again, has a direct level of influence over the younger sibling. So that's why I try to show that in the books, the older siblings teaching the younger sibling what to do, how to do, when to do, etc. And really creating that sibling bond, because that's going to be your sibling for the remainder of your life. So hopefully that bond is strong early and continues to kind of grow over the course of time. Then also, the younger sibling hopefully can, once they get old enough, can see the positive things or some of the mistakes that the older siblings made and try to avoid some of those pitfalls.
Little brother, we love to read to you. Little brother, you can read to us too.
Little brother, you're our very best friend.
Little brother, you're our little brother until the end.
We, are putting on that cape to do our portion to save, to do our best, and not necessarily to save the communities, but to just show the communities, inspire the communities, motivate the communities that we are serving, to let them know, and especially the youth, our children, that they can become anything that they want to in this life. So it's just great to be able to serve as a model to them. So thank you, Dr. Khalid White. We greatly appreciate your time, and we definitely look to build on this relationship in the future.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.